Hello everyone, welcome to SHANKAR IAS Environment series. You can watch the chapters covered in the playlist available in VYSH IAS YouTube channel. Do have a look at all other playlists which are designed for UPSC. These are all part of paid courses, but if response is good, they can be put here for free. So subscribe and leave a feedback comment. Serious aspirants can contact Vice Sir on WhatsApp 7200681675 anytime for test series details or foundational videos. Chapter 16 Conservation Efforts. In this chapter, we will see few of the projects aimed at conserving particular species. Basic concepts are already covered in the previous chapter. Please go through it once if you have not. We will continue various projects under conservation efforts in this chapter. Project Tiger. Very important one. Indian tiger, Panthera tigris, is endangered species and there arises the need to conserve the species. It is estimated that India had about 40,000 tigers in 1900 and the number declined to a mere about 1,800 in 1972. Hence Project Tiger, centrally sponsored scheme was launched in the year 1973. Centrally sponsored schemes are the schemes wherein support and assistance is given by both central and state government. Objectives: to ensure maintenance of available population of tigers in India for scientific, economic, aesthetic, cultural and ecological value, to preserve areas of such biological importance as national heritage for the benefit, education and enjoyment of the people. These were the objectives of Project Tiger and these are the objectives of the Project Tiger. Aim: conservation of the endangered species, harmonizing the rights of tribal people living in and around tiger reserves. The scientific name for the tiger is Panthera tigris. There are 8 subspecies of tiger. Among the 8, at present 5 subspecies are present in the wild. They are Bengal tiger, South China tiger, Indo-Chinese, Sumatran and Siberian tigers. 3 subspecies of tiger, Caspian, Bali and Javan tigers are extinct. Caspian, Bali and Javan tigers are extinct. Tiger Reserve. These are areas notified for the protection of the tiger and its prey, governed by Project Tiger, launched in the year 1973. Initially, 9 tiger reserves were covered under the project. Now we have almost 52 tiger reserves. The number keeps varying, so please be updated in current affairs. The state government shall, on recommendation of the National Tiger Conservation Authority, notify an area as a tiger reserve. Tiger reserve includes core zone and buffer zone. Core zone, it is the area where critical tiger habitat areas are established on the basis of scientific and objective criteria. These areas are required to be kept as inviolate for the purposes of tiger conservation without affecting the rights of the scheduled tribes or any local people residing there. These areas are notified by the state government in consultation with an expert committee which is set up for this particular purpose. Buffer zone is the peripheral area to critical tiger habitat or core area where lesser degree of habitat protection is required. It aims at promoting coexistence between wildlife and human activity. The limits of such areas are determined on the basis of certain scientific criteria in consultation with concerned Gram Sabha and an expert committee. In the core zone, it is only notified by the state government in consultation with expert committee. But when it comes to buffer zone, even the Gram Sabha is consulted along with expert committee. No alteration in the boundaries of tiger reserve shall be made except on recommendation of the NTCA, National Tiger Conservation Authority, and the approval of the National Board for Wildlife. Similarly, no state government shall denotify tiger reserve except with the approval of the National Tiger Conservation Authority and the approval of the National Board for Wildlife. These two authorities play very significant role in the Project Tiger or in conservation of the tiger species in the country. National Tiger Conservation Authority, one of the most important authorities in conserving animal species, that is tiger species in India. The Amendment Act, that is Amendment to the Wildlife Protection Act in the year 2006, provide for the constitution of a statutory authority known as the National Tiger Conservation Authority, which is responsible for implementation and to support measures in conserving tiger species. Powers and functions of NTCE: to approve the tiger conservation plan prepared by the state government, to evaluate and assess various aspects of sustainable ecology and disallow any ecological unsustainable land use within tiger reserves such as mining and other developmental projects, to lay down normative standards for tourism activities and guidelines for Project Tiger and ensure their due compliance, to provide information on protection measures, that is including framing conservation plan, estimating population of tiger, mortality survey, disease surveillance, etc., to ensure that tiger reserves and areas are not diverted for ecologically unsustainable uses except in public interest and with the approval of National Board for Wildlife. To facilitate and support tiger reserve management in the state for biodiversity conservation initiatives through eco-development and people participation which are consistent with the central and state laws. To ensure critical support including scientific information technology and legal support for implementation of conservation plan. To facilitate ongoing capacity building program for skill development of officers and staff of tiger reserves. Estimation of tiger populations. This process of estimating the number of tigers is one of the most crucial component in this project. The process of estimating number of tigers in a given area is called tiger census. This exercise provides us with an estimate of tiger number, density and change in tiger indices, which is a measure of tiger occupancy in a given area. It is conducted at regular intervals to know the current tiger populations and population trends. Beside estimating, the method also helps to gather information on the density of the tiger population and associated prey. Most commonly used technique is pugmark census technique. In this method, imprints of the pugmark of the tiger were recorded and used as a basis for identification of individuals. Now it remains as one of the indices of tiger occurrence. Recent methods used are camera trapping and DNA fingerprinting for estimation of number of tigers. In camera trapping, the photograph of the tiger is taken and individuals are differentiated on the basis of the stripes on the body because no two tigers have exactly the same pattern of stripes. In the latest technique of DNA fingerprinting, tigers can be identified from their scats, that is fecal matter. 2010 assessment methodology. Though it is not much important to go in detail, but we should be knowing some points because it would be easy for comparative analysis of different methodologies applied in various years. And this All India Tiger Estimation exercise is very crucial. Since 2006, it is being undertaken every 4 years. This report presents the result of the 2010 National Tiger Assessment. It presents an estimate of India's current tiger population and a broader assessment of tiger habitat landscapes. The three phases of the tiger estimation procedure are: Phase 1, field data collected at the beat level, that is the primary level, by trained personnel using a standardized protocol. Phase 2 analysis of habitat status of tiger forest using satellite data. Phase 3 camera trapping was the primary method used, where individual tigers were identified from photographs based on their unique stripe patterns. Field data is collected, then analysis of habitat of tiger is done using satellite data. Camera trapping was one of the primary methods used, where individual tigers are identified from the photographs based on their unique stripe patterns. Based on the tiger numbers recorded in sample sites, an estimate for other contiguous tiger occupied landscapes was made. For this, additional information such as tiger signs, prey availability, habitat conditions, and human disturbance was used. Thus, the final estimate is more comprehensive and it gives more robust result for the whole country. This is all associated with scientific framework. It is done through scientific analysis and with modern technology. In 2010, it was done with the technologies which were available at that time. Now it is much more advanced. We have DNA fingerprinting, we have many more advanced technology to identify the number of tigers, to identify the habitats, many more. Phase 4. There is also this phase 4, which is expansion of the tiger monitoring program. It was developed by the Wildlife Institute of India and the NTCA in consultation with experts to estimate numbers of both tigers and their prey. This is also useful in annual monitoring of tigers at the tiger reserve level. This will provide a yearly indication of the status of critical tiger populations around the country. Pre-population monitoring will be conducted simultaneously using distance sampling protocols. This will be very much useful in long-term management and conservation of tiger population. Royal Bengal tiger is a tiger subspecies native to India, Bangladesh, Nepal and Bhutan, and has been classified as endangered by IUCN, as the population is estimated at fewer than 2,500 individuals with a decreasing trend. Bengal tiger is the national animal of Bangladesh. Panthera tigris is the national animal of India. Innovations in 2010 National Tiger Assessment. Let's not get into detail, but only see the main points. Partnerships with civil society organizations, local communities were involved in data collection and analysis. Genetic analysis to estimate tiger populations from fecal samples was the major highlight. Along with tigers, co-predators, prey and habitat quality were assessed. Pioneering attempt to estimate tiger populations in Sundarbans Tiger Reserve, West Bengal, using satellite telemetry and sign surveys. First estimation of tiger population in Sahyadri Tiger Reserve, Maharashtra. Do you know tigers have a lifespan of 10 to 15 years in the wild but can live longer than 20 years in captivity? They are highly adaptable and range from Siberian taiga to open grasslands and tropical mangrove swamps. International cooperation. India has a memorandum of understanding with Nepal on controlling transboundary illegal trade in wildlife and conservation, apart from protocol on tiger conservation with China. And there is also much more efforts by the government through bilateral protocols with many countries. Global Tiger Forum of tiger range countries has been created for addressing international issues related to tiger conservation. Global Tiger Forum of tiger range countries. It has been created for addressing international issues. Asian Ministerial Conference on Tiger Conservation. The New Delhi Resolution on Tiger Conservation was adopted by the Third Asian Ministerial Conference. The salient features of the resolution include recovery of tiger in low-density protected areas by 3 Rs: restoration, reintroduction, and rehabilitation. You can take this point and use it in your answers. Restoration, reintroduction, and rehabilitation. Implementation of Global Tiger Recovery Program with a bit more accelerated speed, aligned development and tiger conservation, promotion of tiger habitats and addressing climate change, and strengthening cooperation to combat wildlife crime. This also include the aim of improving habitat and also surveilling poaching incidents. It has wider objective. Rajasthan was the first state to launch Project Leopard to conserve it by improving their prey base, mitigating man and leopard conflict, and controlling poaching. The hippopotamus, walrus, narwhal, mammoth, rhino, and most commonly Asian and African elephants are poached for their ivory tusk. This was all about Project Tiger. We have many more projects like this wherein conservation of that particular species becomes important because they are on the verge of extinction. As they are, it becomes important for each one of us to do our bit to conserve, to help the government in implementing the schemes. Project Elephant. It was launched in February 1992 as centrally sponsored scheme to assist states having free-ranging populations of wild elephants and to ensure long-term survival of identified viable populations of elephants in their natural habitats. Project is being implemented in many states. States are being given financial as well as technical assistance in achieving the objectives to protect elephants, their habitat and corridors, to address issues of man-animal conflict, which is a very serious issue nowadays, welfare of domesticated elephants, aim ecologically restoring the natural habitats and migratory routes of the elephants, mitigation of the increasing conflicts between man and elephants, and moderating the pressures of human and domestic stock activities in important elephant habitats, developing scientific and plant management measures. Protecting the elephants from poachers and other unnatural causes of death and preventing illegal ivory trade, researching on issues related to elephants and creating public awareness and education programs for it, eco-development and veterinary care for the elephants, also aims at maintaining healthcare and breeding of tamed elephants. Elephant corridor. It is a stretch or narrow strips of forested land or other land that connects larger habitats with elephant populations and forms a conduit for animal movement between the habitats. This movement helps enhance species survival and birth rate. Fragmentation of elephant habitats was severe in northern West Bengal, followed by northwestern India, northeastern India, and central India. Least fragmentation was noted in South India. Elephant corridors is one of the major topics that is being raised by the government to ensure survival of elephant species. And these corridors connect habitats, one habitat to another, and the route which the elephant follows becomes important because it can lead to man-animal conflict. Threats to elephant corridors, habitat loss due to fragmentation, and also developmental activities like construction of buildings, roads, railways, etc. Coal mining and iron ore mining is the two single biggest threats to elephant corridors in central India. We all know Orissa, Jharkhand, and Chhattisgarh are mineral rich states, but they also have the highest number of elephant corridors in the country, which makes them known for elephant man conflicts. There is also the serious problem of poaching, as elephant ivory from the tusks is extremely valuable. Elephants need extensive grazing grounds, and most reserves cannot accommodate them. If protected areas are not large, elephants may search for food somewhere else, which results in conflicts with humans, leading to man animal conflict. Mitigation. Fusion of the corridors with nearby protected areas if it is feasible, or else declaration of such areas as ecologically sensitive areas or conservation reserves to grant protection. Monitoring for animal movement have to be carried out in order to secure the animal numbers. Sensitizing local communities to the option of voluntary relocation outside the conflict zones to safer areas, because that area could have great conservation value which would reduce further fragmentation. Monitoring of illegal killing of elephants, MIKE program. It was mandated by COP Conference of Parties Resolution of CITES. It was started in South Asia in the year 2003 to provide information needed for elephant range states to make appropriate management and enforcement decisions to build institutional capacity within the range states. Main objectives: to measure levels and trends in the illegal hunting of elephants, to determine changes in these trends over time, to determine the factors causing or associated with such changes, and to assess the trends in a detailed manner. Under the program, data are being collected from all sites on monthly basis in specified MIKE patrol form and submitted to Sub-Regional Support Office for South Asia program. Hathi Mere Sathi is a campaign launched by Ministry of Environment and Forest in partnership with the Wildlife Trust of India. This was launched to improve conservation and welfare prospects of the elephant, which is India's national heritage animal. The campaign was launched at the Elephant 8 ministerial meeting held in Delhi on 24th May 2011. The E8 countries are India, Botswana, Republic of Congo, Indonesia, Kenya, Sri Lanka, Tanzania, and Thailand. Public initiative was aimed at increasing awareness among people and developing friendship, companionship between people and elephants. The campaign mascot Gaju focuses on various target groups including locals near elephant habitats, youth, policymakers, among others. It has a wider group of audience. It envisions setting up of Gaja, the elephant, centers on elephant landscapes to spread awareness. It also plans to build capacity of protection and law enforcement agencies at the ground level. This was recommended by the Elephant Task Force. The campaign, usually campaigns have catchy slogans. This also have one such slogan: take Gaja the elephant to the Praja, the people. Gaja is elephant, Praja means people, aims to spread awareness and encourage people's participation in conservation of elephant. Tiger faces threat of extinction whereas the elephant faces threat of attrition. Attrition is getting weakened due to pressure, external pressure. Elephant numbers have not increased or decreased drastically, but there is increasing pressure on the elephant habitats, which is a very serious concern, and this could be solved by involving local people in conservation measures. Asian elephant is threatened by habitat degradation, conflicts, and poaching for ivory. Elephant 8 ministerial meeting. This meeting represented regions with all three species of elephants: Elephas maximus Asian elephant, Loxodonta africana African bush elephant, Loxodonta cyclotis African forest elephant. Participants included policymakers, conservationists, scientists, historians, art and culture experts among the participating countries. Discussions covered were science and conservation, management and conservation, cultural and ethical perspectives of conservation. Remember, there was Elephant 8 ministerial meeting and it was represented by the participating countries with main focus on all three species of elephants: Asian elephant, African bush elephant, African forest elephant. Participants included major stakeholders, conservationists, many more. Discussions covered were obviously related to conservation. E5050 Forum. The E8 countries decided to hold first international congress of E5050 Forum in early 2013. What is exactly E5050 Forum? It is the vision of 50 states to promote conservation and welfare of elephants in next 50 years. This was adopted by India with a common global vision on conservation, management and welfare of elephants across all range countries. Vulture. India has 9 species of vultures in the wild. Oriental white-backed vulture, Gyps bengalensis, slender-billed vulture, Gyps tenurostrus, long-billed vulture, Gyps indicus, Egyptian vulture, Neophron percnopterus, red-headed vulture, Sarcogyps calvus, Indian griffon vulture, Gyps fulvus, Himalayan griffon, Gyps himalayensis, cinereous vulture, Aegyptius monachus, bearded vulture or lammergir, Gypaetus barbatus. Decline of vulture population in India was first recorded at the Keoladeo Ghana National Park in Rajasthan. Decline of Gyps genus in India has been put at 97%. This is over a 12-year period by 2005. Similar declines have occurred in other countries too, including Nepal and Pakistan. In India, population of 3 species, that is white-backed vulture, slender-billed vulture and long-billed vulture in the wild has declined drastically over the past decade. Red-headed vulture or king vulture, slender-billed vulture and long-billed vulture are listed as critically endangered. Egyptian vulture and white-backed vultures have undergone decline and classified as endangered. Red-headed vulture, slender-billed vulture, long-billed vulture are categorized as critically endangered. Similarly, Egyptian vulture and white-backed vulture as endangered species. It was initially thought the drastic decline in population was due to non-availability of food, that is dead livestock, which the vultures feed on, or an unknown viral epidemic disease, but later on confirmed that decline was due to the drug Diclofenac. Diclofenac sodium as the probable cause. It is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug administered to reduce inflammation and to reduce pain in certain conditions, especially in the livestock. They are associated with adverse kidney renal failure, which is caused due to the reduction in synthesis of renal prostaglandins. Vultures which were unable to break down this chemical diclofenac suffer from kidney failure when they eat the carcass of animals which have been administered with the drug diclofenac. Visceral gout. Accumulation of uric acid within tissues and on the surface of internal organs was observed in 85% of the dead vultures found. Neck drooping. Vulture exhibit this behavior for protracted period over several weeks before collapsing and falling out of trees just prior to death. This is the only sign, behavioral indication that birds are ill. Neck drooping, it is also reported in healthy birds under hot conditions. Meloxicam, an alternative. It is a second-generation non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug rated better than diclofenac for the treatment of livestock. It has less side effects and is also approved for human use. Banned but still in use. Indian government in May 2006 banned the veterinary use of diclofenac. Unfortunately, still the drug is being used to treat sick cattle. One particular problem is that this diclofenac is much cheaper than alternative drugs like meloxicam, which has been safely tested for vultures, and that's why they are still in use. Significance of vultures in India. Scavenging. Scavenging on animal carcasses of animals, thereby helping keep the environment clean. Disposal of dead bodies as per the religious practices of the Parsi community. When a person dies, usually body is buried or cremated. When a Parsi dies, body is left in Tower of Silence for vultures to feed on the dead bodies. This, this interferes in the religious practices of the Parsi community. They are the primary removers of carrion in India and Africa, that is, flesh of dead animals. Without vultures, what will happen if vulture number goes on decreasing and one day there would be no vulture on this earth? Equilibrium between populations of other scavenging species will be affected. Equilibrium will go for a toss, result in increase in putrefying carcasses, movement of feral dogs into carcass dumps, increasing spread of diseases like rabies, anthrax. Traditional custom of the Parsis of placing their dead in the towers of silence for vultures to feed upon will be affected. Life will be much harder for local hide and bone collectors who rely on cleaned carcasses in order to earn a living. Vulture safety zones. The concept of this is unique for the Asian continent, but similar zones are in operation in both Europe and Africa. Aim of developing such zones is to establish targeted awareness activities surrounding 150-kilometer radius of vultures colonies so that no diclofenac or the veterinary toxic drugs are found in cattle carcasses, which is the main food of vulture. VSZ, that is Vulture Safety Zone, provide safe source of food which is free of contamination from veterinary drugs, poisons and other agricultural chemicals. Extra food close to breeding colonies helps to increase their breeding success by improving survival chances of the vultures. Additional food such as bone fragments which can be supplied to breeding birds help to reduce the risk of spreading diseases. A place for scientists to study the biology and ecology of these threatened species. This is an opportunity to raise public awareness on vulture conservation and to raise funds, and also an excellent opportunity for eco-tourists to observe these magnificent birds. Where are these zones? Zone between Uttarakhand to Nepal, which spans from Corbett to Katriya Ghat, a terai belt. Slender-billed vulture and white-backed vulture are found in the area. Similarly, belt between Dibrugarh in Assam and North Lakhimpur in Arunachal Pradesh will also be conserved where slender-billed and white-backed species of vultures are found. We also have a zone in central India covering Chhattisgarh where white-backed and long-billed vultures are found. As I said, be updated in current affairs as the number of zones and the places could be changing from time to time. What have to be done? Diclofenac free zones means the complete removal of diclofenac in the identified vulture safe zones is one of the protective measure. Vulture restaurants. We also have vulture restaurant. At this restaurant, tables are reserved only for the unique and rare vultures, which was initially done by Maharashtra and Punjab forest departments. Okay, what are these vulture restaurants? These are restaurants which allows local people to bring dead pets, cattle or dead livestock as food for vultures. Initially, it was by Maharashtra and Punjab forest departments, but such restaurants are being opened in other states as well. Aim of these restaurants: conserve the fast dwindling vulture population, and these scavengers will be fed by serving diclofenac free carcasses of cattle through restaurants, as uncontaminated food shortage is one of the reasons for vultures decline. It involves local communities in situ conservation, having dual benefits to vulture as well as to our society. People inform the forest department in case of the death of an animal in their village, and department tests the dead animal for the presence of diclofenac. In their absence, department pays monetary benefits to the owner of the animal and informer transports it to the vulture restaurant. Apart from this, whenever vulture nesting is found, conservation measures like providing safe food near nesting trees, constant protection from all sorts of disturbances are put in place without delay. Oh, this is such an innovative idea. Benefits: conservation of vulture from extinction, community participation in conservation, economic incentive to local people, to local cattle breeders, phasing out the use of diclofenac, awareness, dining spots. Breeding centers in India. Vulture Breeding and Conservation Centre had already been established at Pinjore, Haryana in 2001 and at few places in Assam, Rani Guwahati, Assam. Another one has been established at Buxa, West Bengal in 2005. Measures taken to conserve vultures. The veterinary drug diclofenac has been banned by Indian and Nepalese governments. Meloxicam, a safe alternative for vultures and other scavenging birds, is being promoted as an effective replacement. Government of India has formulated National Action Plan on Vulture Conservation in the year 2006, which provides for strategies and other measures to reduce the decline in vulture population. Protection status of white-backed, long-billed and slender-billed vultures has been upgraded from Schedule 4 to Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, which provides higher degree of protection to the species. We have vulture safety zones, vulture restaurant sites. Also, vulture captive care facility has been established at Panchkula. State governments have been advised to set up vulture care centers for the conservation of 3 species of vultures. Captive breeding centers have been established so that they could be bred in captivity. Awareness raising activities targeting various group of audiences are being organized. India's role in this conservation. India moved a motion in IUCN in 2004 for vulture conservation, which was accepted in the form of IUCN resolution, called upon GIPS vulture range countries to begin action to prevent all uses of diclofenac in veterinary applications and establishment of IUCN South Asian Task Force. Saving Asia's vultures from extinction. It is a consortium of like-minded regional and international organizations created to oversee and coordinate conservation campaign fundraising activities to help the plight of South Asia's vultures. It aims in conserving all the 3 species of chips culture: oriental white-backed vulture or white-rumped vulture, long-billed vulture, slender-billed vulture. This was all about vulture. Detailed study of the species vulture, and this can be important from mains perspective. One horn rhino. Indian Rhino Vision 2020 was implemented by the Department of Environment and Forest, Assam. Remember, it's Assam because we have one horn rhinoceros in Assam. With the Bodo Autonomous Council as an active partner, program will be supported by WWF program, International Rhino Foundation, Save the Rhinos campaign of zoological institutions worldwide, and number of local NGOs. Vision of this program is to increase total rhino foundation in Assam from about 2000 to 3000 by the year 2020. This was actually launched to provide long-term viability of the one-horn rhino population. Why should we do this? Because concentration of so many rhinos in a single protected area like Kaziranga National Park exposes the species to risks of calamities like floods, which is very common in that area, and also other epidemics. Further, rhinos in Papitura have exceeded carrying capacity and the numbers should be reduced to protect the habitat and to mitigate the increasing rhino-human conflicts. So we are here to save greater one-horned rhino. Activities or anti-poaching monitoring translocation. This was one of the main reasons to launch the program, anti-poaching monitoring translocating rhino from one habitat to another, community conservation. Translocations are the backbone of the Indian Rhino Vision 2020 program. Goal set was to populate the potential rhino habitat areas identified. Manas National Park was selected as the first site for translocation. One important fact, CNG is not without environmental drawbacks. Burning CNG has the highest rates of potentially hazardous carbonyl emissions. This was told by CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board. Project Snow Leopard, we all know it is the apex predator in a high altitude region. Snow leopard is globally endangered species. India is home to 10% of the global population in less than 5% of its global range, thus having a major proportion of its population. It is distributed in Indian Himalayas, high altitude areas located above the forest, alpine meadows and cold deserts, areas above 3000 meter, which constitutes snow leopard range in India. So it is distributed across J&K, Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. Most snow leopard occurs in China, followed by Mongolia and India. Threats are competition with livestock, habitat degradation, poaching and local extinction. Project Snow Leopard, launched in Jan 2009, is an Indian initiative for strengthening wildlife conservation in Himalayan high altitudes. Aim to promote knowledge-based and adaptive conservation framework that fully involves the local communities. Goal: safeguard and conserve India's unique natural heritage of high altitude wildlife population and their habitat by promoting conservation through participatory policies and actions. Location: all important landscapes in the Himalayan high altitudes, Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh, where snow leopards could be found. Why to conserve high altitude ecosystem? Because high altitudes of India support unique wildlife assemblage of global conservation importance, include highly endangered population of species such as snow leopard, two species of bears, red panda, mountain ungulates, Tibet angazil, Tibet anargali, two species of musk deer, the hangul, many more species, endangered species. India has ratified international agreements promoting the conservation of high altitude wildlife species. One among them is snow leopard. In 2003, Convention on Migratory Species included the snow leopard as a concerted action species under Appendix 1. Similarly, in 2003, Convention on CITES, Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, expanded the scope of the CITES Tiger Enforcement Task Force to include all Asian big cat species, also including snow leopard, which comes under the big cat species. Secure Himalaya project was launched by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change in collaboration with UNDP. This plan was intended to conserve snow leopards by protecting their habitats and improving the ecology of Himalayan ranges. Focus areas: strengthening and improving protected area network, landscape level approach for wildlife conservation, control of poaching and illegal trade in wildlife, mitigation of conflicts, human-wildlife conflicts, management of tourism in such areas. Sea turtle project. We all know a significant proportion of world's olive ridley turtle population migrates every winter to Indian coastal waters for nesting, mainly at eastern coast, particularly in Odisha. With the objective of conservation of olive ridley turtles and other endangered marine turtles, Ministry of Environment and Forest initiated this project, Sea Turtle Conservation Project, in collaboration with UNDP November 1999, along with Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun as the implementing agency. Project is being implemented in coastal states of the country with special emphasis in state of Odisha. Project has helped in preparation of inventory map of breeding sites of sea turtles, migratory routes taken by the turtles, development of guidelines to safeguard, developing infrastructure and human resources for sea turtle conservation. One of the important achievements have been demonstrated with the use of satellite telemetry to locate the migratory route of olive ridley turtles in the sea and sensitizing the fishermen and state government for the use of turtle exclusion device in fishing trawlers to check turtle mortality in fishing net. Indian Crocodile Conservation Project. This has actually reduced the crocodilians from getting into the threat of extinction and have pulled them back into a safer zone with actually good number of crocodilians being present now. Objectives: to protect the remaining population of crocodilians in their natural habitat by creating sanctuaries, to rebuild natural population quickly through grow and release or rear and release technique, to promote captive breeding, to take up research to improve management, build up a level of trained personnel for better execution of the project, to involve the local people in the project intimately. Project Hangul. The Kashmir stag, also called hangul, is a subspecies of Central Asian red deer native to Northern India. It is the state animal of Jammu and Kashmir. The deer lives in groups of 2 to 18 individuals in dense riverine forests, high valleys and mountains, and northern Chamba in Himachal Pradesh. In Kashmir, it's found in Dachigam National Park at elevations of 3035 meters. These deer, once numbered from a few thousands in the beginning of the 20th century, were greatly threatened due to habitat destruction, overgrazing, and poaching. State of Jammu and Kashmir, along with the IUCN and WWF, prepared a project for the protection of these animals known as Project Hangul. Captive breeding. Captive breeding means that members of a wild species are captured. They are then bred and raised in a special facility under the care of experts and wildlife biologists. Bringing an animal to captivity may represent last chance to preserve a species in the wild in the situation when a population drops dangerously. Captive breeding can boost numbers. After some time, they can actually be released back into the wild. Captive population can be maintained until the problems can be solved or another appropriate habitat can be found. If the existing habitat is of poor quality, then this could be a solution. When the existing habitat is fragmented, captive breeding combined with management may provide the only hope for survival by providing opportunities for genetic mixing. When a group of birds stay in one area, they are behaviorally trapped. Captive breeding and release programs can help them to expand their range. By holding and breeding birds in captivity, we acquire knowledge about them which may be difficult or impossible to accomplish in the wild. Sometimes this scientific research provides the information necessary to save a particular species. Dolphin. Dolphins are animals of aquatic ecosystems. They are found in sea, brackish water, fresh water. We have Irrawaddy dolphins found in brackish waters of Odisha. Among freshwater dolphins, Gangetic dolphin is found in Ganges River and its tributaries. We also have Indus River dolphins which have been reported in Indus River in Punjab. All freshwater brackish water and marine dolphins are listed in Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, which is the highest degree of protection. Gangetic dolphin is one of the 17 species identified for taking up recovery program of critically endangered species under the centrally sponsored scheme of integrated development of wildlife habitat. National Mission for Clean Ganga has initiated dolphin conservation program in 2016 to ensure long-term survival of the species. Ganges dolphin. Ministry of Environment notified the Ganges River dolphin as the national aquatic animal. River dolphin inhabits Ganges, Brahmaputra, Meghna and Karnatpuli Sanghu river systems of Nepal, India and Bangladesh. It is estimated that their population is around 2000 and they are listed in Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Ganges dolphin is among the 4 obligate freshwater dolphins found in the world. Other 3 are the Baiji found in the Yangtze River, China, the Bhulan of the Indus, Pakistan, and the Boto of the Amazon River, Latin America. Although there are several species of marine dolphins whose ranges include freshwater habitats, these 4 species live only in rivers and lakes. Government measures taken to prevent the menace of wild animals' entry to human habitats. Financial assistance is provided to the state government under the centrally sponsored schemes like that of Integrated Development of Wildlife Habitats, Project Tiger, Project Elephant, for the conservation of species in protected areas. Construction of barriers like boundary walls and solar-powered electric fences around the sensitive areas to prevent wild animal attacks. Development of necessary infrastructure and support facilities for immobilization of the identified problematic animals. This could be through relocation, through tranquilization, etc. The chief wildlife wardens of the states or union territories are empowered to permit hunting of problematic animals under the provisions of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. This could be misused. Programs are launched to sensitize people and create awareness about the do's and don'ts in case of attacks of wild animals against humans. Eco-development activities are undertaken in villages around protected areas to elicit the cooperation of communities. India has adopted the Statute of the South Asian Wildlife Enforcement Network in controlling transboundary wildlife crime through communication, coordination, collaboration, capacity building, and cooperation. This is done through cooperation with the member countries. SAWIN is a regional network comprising 8 countries in South Asia: Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. If you know the SAARC countries, then this would be very easy to remember, the same countries. This completes chapter 16, very lengthy chapter. These are the various projects to conserve animal species. At least try to remember main and basic points from each project. Hope this was informative and you can give your feedback in the comment section. Thank you.